tip.
Good afternoon. It is November 27th, 2019. You're listening to a little column A, a little column B, hosted by Will Manos and co-hosted by Zach Bishop. How you doing today, buddy?
Happy Thanksgiving, Will. There is a Canadian football team. They won the Grey Cup, which is their version of the Super Bowl this week. And as a result, a man who made a bet 18 years ago that he would not wear shorts, or he would not wear pants, he would only wear shorts until they won the championship, until they won this Grey Cup, he is finally able to put pants on. Have you ever made a long-term bet that you very much regret that you did?
Unless you can remember one, nothing's coming off the top right now. I mean, I've certainly made a fool of myself multiple times, and it may last a lifetime. But I don't know if that counts as quite as victory or a loss as a wager. I'm not thinking of anything. Do you have anything?
I've been pretty successful on the podcast wagers I've made with you. Do you have any concern that your losing streak will go for 18 years?
No. At least not yet. Not yet.
No concern.
It's too early right now. I mean, for all I know, these could be the only ones I ever lose. I mean, what if I win the next 18?
Ooh, you flipped this on me. Ooh, I was not expecting this.
I'm just if we're gonna play scenarios in which
panic button.
If we're gonna play out scenarios, I mean, let's look at like original football organizations. All right, what kind of advantages do they have winning those early ones? They're not doing a whole lot right now. Top dog's the Patriots, all right? Not the Packers.
True.
I'm just saying, sometimes you forget the early run. I mean, do you plan on? I plan on this bet at least going on for another 10 years at minimum. I think that's safe.
Oh, at least I see no reason to stop. So, did you hear anything about this Canadian guy making the bet?
No, I actually would much rather an update on the roof living guy in Cincinnati, but I haven't heard anything about this. It's pretty fascinating though. So he's essentially gone how long now wearing just shorts and not pants?
It's been 18 years, and the reason is because 18 years ago, the Blue Bombers were in the semifinal. I think they had just won the semifinal. Were about to go to the Grey Cup, and they were big time favorite. And it happened to be unseasonably warm, so he was wearing shorts. And somebody said to him, "Hey, when are you gonna put pants on?" And he kind of half jokingly but half serious said, "Oh, when the Blue Bombers win the Grey Cup." So it wasn't even a real official bet, but he's a man that sticks to his word. And sure enough, Blue Bombers got upset, and they've been to the Grey Cup final at least one more time after that and lost, if not two times.
All right, are you buying into all this?
He's been close.
There had to have been exception days, right? There was no cheat days?
No. As far as I know, I listened to him in an interview, and they brought up, hey, every once in a while you get invited to something fancy, a wedding, a graduation,
funeral.
A funeral.
Yeah.
How could you only wear shorts during this? His loophole, he has a kilt. He would wear a kilt. That's how dedicated this guy was, man.
You ever go skiing? Anything? You never needed snow pants?
He's from Canada. It's already cold.
So
he grew up. He just dealt with the cold.
I'm suspect. I just think, all right, maybe he did. I feel like we do know people like that. I know people who only wear shorts. Do you?
I feel it was more of a college thing, and that's not necessarily somebody you knew, but just a guy you'd see all the time, and it was just like, oh, that guy's still wearing shorts. It's November, it's getting a little cold, and then it's January. Oh, he's still wearing shorts.
I think my choice or preference of shorts, at least early on, at least in high school and all that, was it was a lot easier to find something that would fit me for shorts versus pants and jeans required like actual trying on and real shopping, and I just never really had much interest in that. It was like, all right, this is my size.
Had the elastic band because it's probably gym shorts.
Yeah, so
well, this is one size fits all.
Pretty much. They may go above or below my knee. I don't know what the right length is supposed to be, but they fit. I'm comfortable. I think that was always a preference.
Below the knee, like Allen Iverson.
I think that's changed a lot. I mean, at least in basketball right now, long shorts. Nobody's wearing long shorts anymore.
No, it's going the other way.
Yeah. I got to work on some tan lines if we're going to continue that direction.
I'm holding out. I'm going like the the generation before us that they started wearing short shorts. Like their heroes in the '80s were wearing them, and they didn't stop. I'm gonna keep wearing long shorts like the guys in the late '90s were doing, and I'm not gonna stop.
Well, I mean, there's definitely some changes happening. But speaking of some changes right now, I think this has definitely been a talk of the NBA for a couple of years now. We might have touched on it on the podcast before, but there's real serious talk about a season tournament kind of here, including all of the teams. Or there's a lot of actually rules, and I kind of like the idea of all this. I actually want to pitch you a consolation a bracket kind of idea for the NBA. You know what? Let's just do that right now. The losers the guys that don't get into the playoffs, which you want to do reseeding or whatever or not. I mean, that we can talk about that as well. But I say if you don't make the playoffs, you get entered in a consolation bracket, which has some sort of reward. But within this consolation bracket, I think we should allow international teams, and it's almost like a punishment. Like you got to travel now to international places if you don't make the playoffs. Motivate them, get them in, or at least let's go watch Devin Booker light up some international teams. I think that would be fun to watch. Good idea? Bad idea?
I think it's a bad idea.
Why is it a bad idea? It's more basketball. I think we need to space out the season.
I like the general idea, but my thought is, would you be doing this would this be post-championship, or would this be going on competing with the actual teams in the playoffs?
I think it plays at an awkward hours where another NBA game would typically play, but now that there's less and less games, these get thrown on. So like this could be your intro one, like your East Coast game with your West Coast game still being the finals. I mean, you could play around with the timing. I mean, we're having an international audience as well, so maybe the time change does make sense.
We're having enough trouble getting players to play regular season games. We're having enough trouble trying to get players to play in the Olympics. Why would they play this goofy consolation, doesn't matter, I could tear my ACL and ruin my career kind of games? What's the incentive for them? There's an incentive for them to get paid the same amount and do more work.
Well, I really just thought it would be more incentive to make the playoffs so you don't have to do this.
I could easily see, Steph Curry say he comes back this year and, they're still not going to make the playoffs. And then, hey, you're going to go play the Lithuania national team. A bunch of guys that just want to get, on TV and don't care about knocking you down or just being real rough with you. And Curry being like, hey, you know what? I'm actually going to go on vacation with my family. Knees hurting. Nope, not going to play. I think you would have way more guys than you have now saying, yep, I'm taking a break. I'm going to Cancun.
I think these are how you balance out the load management, though. You let the guys do whatever load manage, take off whatever nights you want, but you're going to be playing in some sort of playoff series going forward. I think everyone should have a season that's extended. I don't think you shouldn't be your season shouldn't be shortened because you didn't make the playoffs.
I think that's exactly what should happen. If you're not good enough, you shouldn't get to continue to play. That's your punishment. You have to go home. You have to go work on your game.
I just think there's an opportunity here to see some teams play in some close games and learn about some maybe other countries and other players internationally. I think I would just want to see the scale of it. Is like where do we rank? Can we beat these international teams with kind of our B League?
I just don't know who wants to watch that. I think it helps, like you said, if you put it on, you're not competing directly with. It's almost like a lead-in, or maybe if you even put it afterwards. I don't know exactly what countries you're talking about and how the timing would work, but I just don't see how you go through the season and you're not really going out of your way to watch a Charlotte Hornets game and said, oh well, now that the Hornets aren't playing the Heat, now that they're playing Argentina, now let me go look and figure out where that's on TV. I don't think there's
maybe it's not for us. I'm not watching a lot of Charlotte games. It's for the people of Charlotte and people of Argentina. I mean, then you're telling me those audiences wouldn't watch that? Maybe we wouldn't. But I mean, I don't
think that they'd rather watch the playoffs.
No, my guess is they really don't like. All right, if you're a Charlotte Hornets fan, you probably really don't like basketball. If we're being honest,
I think the solution would be more to make the games that are currently being played, the regular season games, easier to be accessed. Or more affordable to be accessed. I think we've talked about this in the past with League Pass. whether it's more national games or uh, maybe some of the streaming, not necessarily the streaming networks as in like a Disney Plus, but more Amazon is doing it for football, or Google, or even Twitter has done it in the past for football, but for basketball, saying, hey, we're offering you more basketball to be able to be watched. I think that is a better angle than trying to extend the season for non-playoff teams. That would be my suggestion.
I think the season's going to get extended regardless, though, and I think it's just going to give us so much more time to do something like this in between. Because
How
if
are
you,
they going to do more games? Everything I've been seeing is they're looking toward shortening and less games.
but I think it's going to take a longer period of time. Like I think we're going to give everyone no more load management excuses, and it's going to take the same amount of time with maybe less games. But I think eventually it ends up taking more of the calendar year. Eventually,
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So
like I don't know if
I
it's going
mean,
to be more games or
either the
less games,
same
but it's going to.
games or less games, but it'd be stretched out.
I mean, we're starting earlier and earlier in October. It feels like every 5 years now. Because we
I
usually
mean,
had
basketball already goes for 9 months, and that's just the actual games being played. That's not even talking about free agency or preseason or anything.
and we still have guys taking nights off. So I think eventually it leads to just all right, we play all year round if you guys want to take time off. I mean,
That just I think you need a break.
they're
I like
getting. What
basketball,
do you
but
mean you
I
need?
think
Oh,
you
no,
need
no,
a
no, no,
break.
no, 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 no. You don't need a break. You're getting your. There's no double headers. You're getting two
No,
games
no,
a
I mean
week.
I do as a fan.
Oh, all right. Maybe you do. All right,
I'm
but
saying as a fan, it's like like I said, I like basketball, but there's just you need it to go away so you're excited for when it comes back. If it's just year round, if there's a championship on one day and then 2 weeks later is when preseason starts, like
I,
that's
I'm
I
view,
think that's going to be too much.
I'm viewing this as probably the only solution that makes everybody happy and gets every single player to play almost every game. And that's just going to be you need more time. If you're complaining
I
about time off, we'll just space them out even more. Does
I
that
think
fix everything, or is it inevitable that somebody just isn't going to want to play 82 games
I
or
think
80 plus?
I think we're just past that, and the players have realized that they're able to do this with less fan blowback than there was a few years ago, and the teams are kind of looking at it and they think that it's an advantage from a health perspective. But I think once you find out, oh, you know what, I don't have to work 40 hours a week. I really only need to work like 30 hours a week. I think that number just kind of keeps going down, and you can't reverse it and say, no, for the same pay, now you have to work 50 hours a week. I just don't think you're gonna be able to tell guys, hey, no, play 90 games now. Oh, but you got plenty of rest in between. It's like,
Well,
you know what?
well,
I'm
it
still
doesn't have to
kind of
be.
sore.
It's not going to be 90 games. It's going to be whatever 80 some odd games starting September and ending in July or whatever June.
Well, plus these playoff games that you came up with,
Yeah,
the international ones.
we could sneak them in during the actual playoffs or the later rounds. I mean, once the
No,
later
I'm saying now you've gone from 82 minimum to I don't know how big the tournament would be, to at least three more games possibly.
I mean, it doesn't have to be all of them. We could do top 10. So the eight through 10. So nine and 10. You have to go into this little mini tournament.
Oh, not so four teams, and
Yeah,
then
sure.
maybe
We'll
you
do.
get
We'll
four
take. We'll
international
take one
teams.
from each. Yeah. I don't know. That just seems doable. I just see that I think there's an option there because we get this whole
I do
40
like the
games.
idea of trying to get the international teams involved to try to. 'Cause I think that's definitely the future is growing more outside of the country,
Well,
and that would be a way to
they're good now.
correctly.
They're great. Like I watched a lot of the FIBA tournaments, and I know the USA struggled, but there's a lot of good teams out there. A lot of good players that are in the NBA representing these countries, and they have other good teammates and other good coaches out there. I just think there's some quality basketball that can be watched out there that isn't being highlighted or even directed towards us in any way, and it really wouldn't require that much work. I imagine. Grab four of those teams, and take four of our teams, sub those in on some of the off nights once we get in the conference finals or once there's not a game on every single night in the NBA. I think you have this option. Now you fill it with college, but I think I mean if you want to go kind of the NFL approach, we're gonna have football on as many nights a week as we can, and that answers this question for me in the NBA once you get later in those playoffs and there's not something to watch every single night. I think it just fills that window right there. And I think the season eventually expands throughout a longer calendar year, and hopefully we get more guys to play. I wouldn't be shocked if we expanded it through the calendar year and then went back to what it was, saying, well, it didn't make a difference. These guys still took nights off. There were still national TV games that didn't get the 2 stars on there, or 3 stars, or any stars to show up and play. I think that's the biggest problem, is how do we fix that? How do we get everyone to show up for the games that are supposed to make money, that people are supposed to watch into? And I don't know any other way other than expanding it through the calendar year.
I don't, I'm not bothered by the load management as much as other people are. I think it does affect the rating and does affect the ticket price, and I get people that you looked way ahead and thought you were going to get Kawhi Leonard, and Kawhi Leonard's not playing. But I think as someone, when you're going to go buy a ticket, you got to kind of be aware that certain guys are going to be rested, and just have that in your mind. So it doesn't bother me as much as it kind of enrages other people. It's just
Well, I mean,
this is kind of a risk you take, unfortunately.
what was the last thing you planned that like really far in advance for? Are you a planner? Do you plan like super far in advance? Because I think that's the problem with a lot of these people. They're busy. They're not super flexible, like I'd say I am, or maybe you are, and they have this one weekend on that one holiday, and they're spent all their money on those tickets, and sure enough, what comes up is they didn't get the ticket they signed up for. And I understand there's a risk of all that, but I think a lot of people, these are events they spend all year looking forward to, maybe all 2 years looking forward to. Maybe they only go every other year, and they don't. If you're only going to do it once a year, you want to see a game that matters. You don't want to see this game on a Wednesday because suddenly I'm free and the tickets are cheap. You want to see who's coming to town.
I just think that load management is just part of uh the you're not sure what's going to happen in sports. The unpredictability of sports. You could go to a game and all the stars could be playing, and it's a 20-point blowout right from the beginning, and it's just not competitive the whole way. A guy could get hurt either the game before, during the game, and you don't get to see that player play anyway. I think that's just part of, if you're looking to see almost like exactly what you signed up for, maybe more of a concert or a play where it's kind of the same thing. You know exactly what you're going to get, but with sports, it's unpredictable. You don't know what you're going to get, and this is just the way that it works. So there's so many games that they have decided as teams, it's not necessarily important for our guys to play every game. It's not like football where there's so few games. You can't really load management Lamar. Like, he's got to play every game. And maybe in the not too distant future, maybe football will also. I think there's too few games, but maybe they will. Maybe it won't be multiple games, but it'll be one game. But hey, yep, we're gonna rest them. Keep it fresh. I don't know, but maybe that could be something that happens down the line.
I brought up football, like trying to be on as many nights as it can be, and I get such a mixed feeling about these Thursday games are so bad halfway through the year. They're borderline unwatchable. The teams aren't ready. They're unprepared. It just seems like a struggle for me. But then later now that's like, all right, we're getting closer, and there's some better football teams been playing, and the teams are kind of coming together. Like later in the year, these late Thursday games have actually been pretty good. And I don't know. I just wish the accessibility of the NBA was just the same as the NFL, or maybe it's not. I don't know. Why can we not watch all these games as easily as we want to? Like, wouldn't that be more important, and then you would care less about it? Like, if you just had easier accessibility through all these games, like, you feel like you didn't invest as much into it?
I think that we talked about this. I don't think it was the last pod. I think it was 2 pods ago, just about how League Pass, the League Pass product is terrible and it's really expensive, and they'd probably be better off just giving it away, making it better, and giving it away for free. So more people are watching the games, watching the advertisements that are already a part of it, getting rid of the stupid blackout rules that have been around forever and are very antiquated. Uh, and that would make it easier. So when you're on Twitter and you see, ooh, Giannis has got 35 points midway through the third. Boom. Let me put that on real quick. Not, oh, that would be fun to watch, but you know what? I didn't drop $300 for League Pass at the beginning of the year, so I'm just out of luck.
No, but you did drop money on cable, and you waited all week to watch the Clippers play LeBron, and none of them played. Like I think that I don't know that just frustrates me. Like the channels that we do have access to aren't always the games we want, and then the channels we don't have access to can sometimes be the games that should have been on. Like I wish they would just change that. I wish you could almost just like vote on
Or
ESPN or like I don't want this game. This game sucks. Change it to something else, and just make the like let
they
the fans
do
vote on the time.
they do have some of that for NBA TV. I think they might do that on Tuesdays. They vote the week before or 2 weeks before for any non-national game of like the fan vote game. But yeah, it's the logistics of that are tricky, and for sure they're going to get burned this year. ESPN and TNT, probably ABC as well. The way that the Warriors with Steph getting hurt and them just absolutely cratering, as well as Zion being hurt. And they say he's going to be back by Christmas, but I think they're going to be real careful with him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't really playing until January. Probably no back-to-backs for the rest of the year to make sure that everything's pristine with their number one pick. And it just puts it's gonna put a damper on a bunch of primetime games that everyone thought were going to be really exciting and are just complete bottom of the barrel type teams with no star power.
Yeah, well, I guess we should probably redirect to the actual conversation we were supposed to be having, which was the reseeding in the conference finals, which feels like it's
Well, there
gonna
was
be.
three. There's three suggestions. There was a mid-season tournament. There was, like you were just saying, reseeding the four conference finalists, and there was one more. What was the last one?
I don't know. I wrote down redo the schedule and maybe get rid of divisions, but I don't think those were one of the main topics. Those were just ideas I had written down.
Oh, and then there was going to be a play-in tourney. So wasn't sure if it was going to be all 30 teams or if it was going to. It's the entertaining as hell idea basically that Bill Simmons came up with, where it's and they haven't hashed it exactly out, but it could be something like there's no seed 8. It's what would have been seed 8 and seed 9 play a one-game playoff like a wild card, like in baseball, and the winner would then become the 8th seed. So it kind of expands the playoff field a little bit.
So like a wild card game.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I'm not sure if they were thinking that they'd go even further, if it would be 4 teams or if it was going to be a 3-team. I think they're still kind of hashing out the idea, but the idea of a basically a play-in tournament.
I don't hate it. I mean, sometimes those are the more fairer matched teams. I also think like that's a big problem right now with the way the seeding is these 1-8 seeds. These aren't good matchups. Like very rarely are these good matchups. Nobody ever watches these games, and these are arguably the favorite, if not the top team in each conference. You don't really get to watch them in the first round, or you don't really care to watch them in the first round. I think that's what this reseeding
Sweeps.
This reseeding fixes that. At least I would hope it would to a certain degree, where you're getting. I mean, is there that much disparity between the West and the East? Because we may overrate it, we underrate it.
This would just be for the conference finals. This would just be the final 4 teams.
Well, I like that as the baby step towards eventually doing what I want here. Is that's a full 16, reseed it all, and then change the schedule up.
I would be more a fan with that as long as they also make some adjustments to the schedule.
Yeah.
Because right now the East teams, you play the East teams more, in the West you play the West teams more. So for the conference to redo the seeding, I think it would still be based off of your record, and objectively it'd be easier to get more wins in the East than in the West without necessarily being a better team.
I just think there's a scenario where we can redo all of the schedule. We can make sense of all the travels for almost every team. Like there has to be the right algorithm that exists somewhere in there where the travel doesn't have to be as stressful because there's conveniences now. I mean, nobody's taking coach anymore. At least I hope not. I think they're flying all pretty okay now. So it's just more distance and logistics of all that. But I think there's a scenario in there that exists that we can have every single team play one another pretty evenly across the board. It won't ever be perfect, but it can definitely be improved on what it is now. We got to get rid of the divisions altogether because I think that's what's holding us back of all that. Like why the divisions across any sports don't make sense to me anymore at all. Like, I think they should redo all of that. Maybe I'm a little taking that a little too far, but
what do you think about a 30-team in-season tournament that would happen in late November into mid-December? So it would be starting like now, right around Thanksgiving. You'd have a NBA tournament.
I look at it a couple different ways. I think in the NBA, one of the issues is we have a lot of players taking time off, and we have a lot of players and a lot of teams and coaches and just organizations just going through the motions. We can be all right, we can be okay, we can lose some, we can win some, but we're getting in the playoffs, and that's when we're going to kind of start trying. Are they going to try for this tournament? Are they going to be taking rest during this tournament? Are they? Because I'm looking at it right now. Everyone's taking every time off. Zion's not even back yet. I think if there's a serious nature to this midseason tournament and players are really going to turn up and play during it, I think it's a great idea. It adds immediate excitement. It adds immediate intensity that you don't really get until later in the year. But are they going to do that, or is this just going to be like, all right, whatever regular ass tournament this is, and does this really affect our seeding? Is this really going to get me any closer to a championship? Is there really a benefit to winning this? I like it in theory. I just don't know what the players are going to do. They have so much power at this point between everything and all the decisions they make that it's almost like you got to ask them and see and think, will you guys do this or not? Because what's the point other than that?
I and I've kind of heard the argument. It said, "Oh no, the players would be interested in this. Like they'd really like to get after it and play." And I'm sure there's some players that are, but I've just seen the evidence from the All-Star game, and I would think it'd be more along the lines of it would feel more of an exhibition. And you've seen the All-Star game. There's not really a lot of competition going on there, so I can't foresee this tournament having a lot of competition and a lot of buy-in unless you somehow made the results mean something. And I don't know what the results would be. Whether I've kind of heard some ideas of wins count as double for your record. There and then the other argument for it that I've heard a lot is always comparing it to European soccer. And oh well, in European soccer they have like mid-season tournaments. And they do this, this, and this. Well, as a basketball fan, and I don't speak for all basketball fans, but not a soccer fan. Don't really understand how the whole soccer thing works, and like that isn't to me we should model it off of European soccer. Like, we got something that works here, and I think the timing is terrible. I think if you're gonna do this, you want to do this like the right before the Super Bowl, right when football's kind of ending, and there's like a little bit of a lull with it's the Super Bowl week. You got a chance to make a foothold. Doing it late November into mid-December, you're talking about you're going head to head with the NFL. You're going head to head this week right now is rivalry week for college football. College football is already bigger probably than the NBA. So you're gonna have to go head to head with that as well as college basketball starting. And there's a ton of tournaments going on right now, all over the place.
All right.
And it just seems like you're gonna stretch people way too thin.
Well, maybe it's not for you. Maybe it is for the international market that follows the NBA. They don't follow college football. They don't follow the NFL. They follow the NBA. That's what the rest of the world follows. They follow their own version of soccer and our version of NBA.
You think there's enough people?
I do. I really do. I think that's why everyone is just kind of up in arms about this whole like international European soccer strategy. And it's like, well, no, I think that's our audience. I think that's everyone else. I think it's us that are diehard fans with our little group over here, and it's everyone else over there. I think they really care about the NBA, and that's not just Europe. I mean, that's China. That's everywhere. I think the NBA is internationally a lot more popular. I mean, I'm sure they have their own local sports and all that, but I think you would be shocked of how high up on the list the NBA is for almost all these international countries. I think that's just the strategy of it. I think that's the idea of modeling off of that. Is that all these people tune in for all this stuff? Maybe we can do something very similar to that, and they'll tune into that too. I don't know.
I just don't see the players or the teams buying in, and just seems almost like an excuse for 3 weeks to 4 weeks in November into mid-December to just oh, you guys are doing all this load management stuff? Yeah, just if you don't really want to play, don't worry about it. This is for the whatever cup, and it's almost like the preseason or the summer league. There's a summer league champion. Nobody cares about it. Like, yep, there's a trophy or whatever, and
Is there a scenario where
the
you would
players that
care
play in
about
it.
it? Like what does the scenario look like where you do care about winning that? Like what does it have to include?
That's
Or
not. Yeah, that's I'm not sure because it can't. It seems too early in the year to really help with seeding. So it's like, hey, if you win it, you automatically have a 1 seed, or you automatically get a bye for the real playoffs. I think there's just I like that there's progressive thinking and ideas to spice things up, but I'm not sure any of these are needed. And we already have something that's good and that works, and it's fun. Like, basketball is just fun on its own. I don't know if we need to be throwing all these bells and whistles at it to try to make it better.
I just think you have enough eyeballs on you that you can talk about ideas like this, and then if it catches enough attention and enough people are into it, you just do it. But I think they just keep floating ideas like this out there until a huge group of us are suddenly like, yeah, let's do that. I don't know if we haven't hit it yet. We're getting there, and I like that we're talking about it. So let's maybe we get to something crazy and then we love it, we hate it. I don't know, but I'm excited for the more crazier ideas, the more ideas that we get going. I like that we're not just saying we're stuck in stone. This is the tradition. This is how it's going to be. I don't know if we need any drastic rule changes like a 4-point line or a higher rim or a smaller backboard or I don't know, or a wider paint.
Smaller backboard. I haven't heard that one.
It would change things. I mean, have you ever played on like not the big square one? It's very different if you take some of that away.
Yeah, yeah. I play on a fan shaped one.
Yeah, no, that's
And
that's
both
these different spots
and
on there, man.
that are different. No, I agree. I just haven't heard of all the other ones you've mentioned. I've heard been floated out there, but I haven't heard make the backboard smaller. I like it. I like it. You're innovative. You're thinking outside the box, even beyond everybody else. I like it.
Well, I don't think those are the rules we should be making, or even the ones we should be talking about. But I do like the idea of saying, how can we make these things matter more? How can we get players to show up for more games? How can we get fans engaged in a time of year where we're watching, but we don't care. These games don't mean anything. How can we make this earlier part of the season mean a little bit more? So I like that. And what, tournaments are always exciting, or at least in college they tend to always be exciting. So I would just hope a professional round robin tournament or whatever like that would be exciting. But you know what? Why don't we set the record straight a little bit here, because we're spending about half the podcast talking about all of that, which everybody already knows about. So let's do a little Zach sets the record straight. You ready here? You got one for today?
I am ready.
Ladies and
All
gentlemen,
right. So every week on the show here, a little column A, a little column B. Zach and I play a little game show. It's called Zach Sets the Record Straight, where Zach reads off 3 Guinness World Records. 2 of them are true, 1 of them is false, and the name of the game is to figure out which one is false. So without further ado, Zach, tell us the first Guinness World Record.
The first record is MIT students break record for hot dog throwing. These 2 women from MIT lobbed the cooked hot dog 120 feet, where it was caught in a bun by another student.
Caught in the bun. In the bun.
Yes.
In the bread basket.
In the bun. Right in the bread basket.
Right in the bread basket.
Literally. Quite literally.
Is that where that's from?
Damn it, why didn't I think of that?
Oh, because I came up with the name of the show. I'm not very good at the show, but I got the name. Anyways. Number 2.
Number 2, British inventor Rubik's Cube is 6 feet 8 inches tall, breaking his own record for largest Rubik's Cube.
Ooh, all right. I'm into Rubik's cubes. Actually, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but yeah, I own multiple Rubik's cubes, so I'll leave it at that.
You have like the one that's bigger than a cube, don't you?
Yeah, I got the 4 and the 5, not just the 3x3.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, it's still a cube, but it's bigger. That's right.
Yeah, you just add more, and honestly, it really doesn't change too much. Strangely, I think the 4 one is actually harder than the 5. The 5 is very similar to the 3x3. The 4x4 is a little bit trickier because you don't have default middles with that one, so you need to define which side is going to be which color going in as well.
Hey, listeners, if you could, that stuff's over. Nerd talk's over. Try to wake back up. I know you fell asleep there for a little bit. We'll go on to the third one. The third one is Kosher Bakery creates 62-foot-long challah for record. Challah is a traditional Jewish bread. It's a type of braided egg bread. Have you had challah before?
I want to say yes, but it is an assumption. I don't think I might have. I don't think I knew what it was when I had it, but I think I knew it was something like that.
Yeah, I think if you saw it, you'd know what it was. It's spelled Challah, so not exactly how it's pronounced. It's delicious.
All right, so I'm crossed
really
right now
good.
because I don't think that's long enough, honestly. Is my initial thought, but I also don't think 6 feet is a big enough Rubik's Cube. Like, I think there's a bigger Rubik's Cube out there somewhere. And you probably didn't know that when you picked this that there was going to be a lot of Rubik's Cube talk, but...
Yeah, this is my fault, listeners. I apologize. I'll be better in the future. I forgot that Will was really big into Rubik's Cubes until after I'd already said it.
It does nothing to help me about this, though. I mean, I could solve it. I don't know if I could... You know what's crazy is I'm totally buying into the hot dog thing, which I thought the caught in the bun was the trick, but you know what? I'll say the Rubik's Cube's too small. I'm going to say there's a bigger Rubik's Cube. The Rubik's Cube is false.
Wrong. I'm back on top.
Back on the losing streak.
Win streak's over. Nope. The British vendor's Rubik's Cube is 6 feet 8 inches tall. That is correct.
Oh man, I didn't think that would be the record. I thought we could do better than that. 6 feet? That's the best we could do? Maybe that is good. I don't know. It's really hard to figure out which one of these is so ridiculous that it's impressive, and that seems like it should be the record and not impossible.
Fun fact for you on the Rubik's Cube: the guy that built that, he built it, beat his own record, which before was 5 feet 1.7 inches tall. He also holds the record for world's smallest Rubik's Cube, which is only 0.22 inches tall.
Oh man, you
So maybe you should hang out with this guy.
maybe you should hold on to that record for next week and see if I remember. Like, because I don't think I will. You can just change it
I've
by
thought
decimal.
of rehashing them, but man, there are just so many every week, and they're always so dumb that it's literally the easiest part of prepping for the podcast is finding this segment.
All right, so the Rubik's Cube one, I was wrong about that. That was true. Tell me the hot dog one is also true.
Hot dog one is also true.
All right, so I was at least
when I initially mentioned and I said MIT students break record for hot dog throwing, were you not in your head picturing like a robot throwing a hot dog?
I definitely wasn't expecting the catch in the bun right in the bread basket. I
was not expecting that either.
I thought that was like this is how we separated ourselves from somebody who could actually throw it really far. Is they didn't throw it into this. Like, I imagine the actual hot dog throwing record is probably farther than that. Just an assumption. I've been playing this game for all my life. You know, I have a lot to base it on.
Yeah, I assumed that it was going to be some sort of, they built a catapult kind of thing, like a robot that threw it really far. But then it was just, it could have really been students anywhere. Like I was really expecting an engineering kind of slant to this, but really it was just, it was a student who knew a softball player who was like, hey, I could use some help.
I'd actually be curious to see how they caught it in the bun. Like, was that a two-handed thing or one? Was that a clap? Like, did you pinch it or did it land?
No video on this one.
I think once it's moving that
I'm
far,
thinking it's one-handed. I'm thinking it's one-handed. You open the bun up so it's got a good landing area. I'm thinking she threw it. It's going end over end. I'm thinking not like a football, end over end. And you're just there, and probably took a couple of tries to get it so it was landed correctly, and nice soft gather. That's how I'm imagining it.
You think they threw it like a javelin? Like, does this just fly straight across through the air horizontally?
No, I'm thinking definitely end over end, not like a javelin. Javelin, I don't know. I don't think that would work.
All right, well, let's push the game to the max here. So the false one is the Jewish bread, right? It was 62 feet.
Yep.
Was it
Yep.
longer or shorter? I'm gonna say it was longer because I actually that's what was my suspect of it is I think a world record could make that longer, but I could be
It
still
was only
wrong.
32 feet.
That's what I thought. That's short, right? So was it longer?
No, no. I told you it was 62 feet. It was really only 32 feet. It was shorter.
Oh, boo! Oh.
Big time wrong.
I
Yeah.
I
Back
think
to the drawing board for you.
I think that's the embarrassing part of all of this is that I might have picked that one. I was up. It was my
I was
top
so
two choice.
nervous. It was like, oh no, he's gonna pick it for the wrong reasons.
And that would have been even more embarrassing though. It was like you didn't even really get it right. You kind of cheated the game. Like I wouldn't even really feel like
I
a
think
true
that's
winner.
isn't that what happened last week?
I
I'm
think
pretty sure that's what happened last week. But you were like, hey, win's a win, doesn't matter.
yeah.
Chalk
No.
it up.
I'm not really feeling much like a winner, right? I feel like I'm losing this game, like regardless of how we play. You know,
Yeah, you haven't had anybody check these, have you?
I yeah, I get emails. I have a whole inbox just dedicated to this. It spam filters out. I got some words that just filter into certain folders.
Yeah, I just distracted you with the Rubik's cube, and I got you.
Yeah, I think you distracted all the listeners. Tell them to come back.
Yeah, yeah, come back, please.
Actually, you know what? While we got some time here, let's remind the listeners to go check out the website. Another reason to leave here, lcalcb.com. Lots of good stuff on there. We do have some T-shirts. We don't have a sweatshirt anymore. I just checked it the other day. Our sweatshirt was taken down. We did not make enough sales, so we no longer have a podcast sweatshirt. So
it's just getting to be sweatshirt weather.
I will have
currently sweatshirt weather.
I will have to redesign another one. Which I may have done today. I don't. It may get done today. It may not. But keep an eye out for that. I'm hoping to have something by Black Friday. So keep an eye out for that. But that might be a little tough. I don't know if Amazon's going to work that hard over the holiday here. But there is still a T-shirt on there. And if you're a Berkshire County fan and a fan of Cozy Corner Restaurant, there is a Cozy Corner sweatshirt that you can purchase that is also available.
And if you're not a fan or not from Berkshire County, you should become a fan, and you should just buy a shirt anyway because it's a dope shirt.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool shirt. They're very nice quality. Even the sweatshirt holds up well. Let me ask you this though: if I am hoping to do another podcast one, would you rather a sweatshirt hoodie, or would you rather like a zip up hoodie, with the zipper obviously down the middle?
Yeah, regular hoodie.
Yeah, I kind of thought the regular hoodie as well. I don't know. I thought maybe the other one, in a certain scenario, can maybe look nicer that you could almost wear it anywhere. But I still feel like at the end of the day, you're still wearing a hoodie, and it's what's the difference, I think the zipper looks a little bit better, but it doesn't look good enough that you would wear it anywhere anyways. So you might as well just keep it as a hoodie,
If you're going
right?
anywhere where they're gonna look down on you for wearing an LCA, LCB podcast hoodie, you just don't need to go to that place anymore.
Okay, well, that I've said a lot of bold things today, but now people aren't. You just got kicked out of your own bar, guys. All right, you can't go here.
Find a new bar.
Well, anyways, keep an eye out for that. Follow us on the website, lcalcb.com. Make sure you follow Zach on his Twitter, which is
Wicked Z-Man 24.
Yeah, lots of good stuff going on there. Speaking of text on Twitter here, let's talk about a family who chose to spend 153 days on a actual handwritten project. Let me ask you this: when's the last time do you still do handwriting stuff regularly? Like, do you at work require a lot of handwriting, or is everything within the computer or phone?
For a while, I was still taking notes by hand, but recently I've had to send notes to other people, so it's cumbersome to write it down by hand and then transcribe it to the computer to then be able to email it, as well as my notebook's kind of running out, so it's kind of a natural progression to just do more stuff right on the computer, so less and less.
Do you have people that send you notes that are handwritten as well?
Maybe like a thank you note, and even there it's kind of a hey, thanks, and a signature, so definitely not any sort of message longer than that.
I'm just wondering maybe they have some really nice handwriting. I just majority of handwritten stuff that I've ever had to reread or had to understand in some form, wasn't the greatest handwriting. I think those are few and far between. I think the people that have good handwriting aren't the ones that are ever writing anything. And maybe that was backwards as well, but I don't know. So, anyways, this family spent 153 days writing the largest handwritten Bible. Um, and I'm just wondering who's going to reread this, and why would you ever want it to be handwritten to reread it? Was there an advantage? Is this some sort of tradition or something special, or is this just
From
the next Zach sets the record straight next week, largest Bible ever? Like, is this a
it,
or
it
previewing?
was a record setting book, and it was just one that I kind of pulled out and thought this would need a little more attention to it. Uh, it was a man and his wife and their two children. They took turns doing this. Like I said, 153 days. The wife said that while she was transcribing this, she felt like the Bible was speaking to her. So I think it's a religious thing more than, hey, we're trying to make the biggest one, or we're trying, like, part of it is you have to read it, you have to then write it down. And I don't know, from Stuff for School, I remember they say that helps you to remember stuff better. But the reason that I brought it up is when I was growing up, I would get chores after work. Me and my brother and sister, you'd get chores. Called it family jobs, and I was always never really thrilled to have to do family job stuff. It was usually stuff outside or stuff to get cleaned or whatever, just help needed around the house. And it was always like, I gotta do this, whatever. But all of that definitely pales in comparison to having to transcribe the Bible word for word. I don't know how much they made the kids do this, but the wife said she would spend 12 to 15 hours every day. 12 to 15 hours just looking at something and writing it down somewhere else.
All right,
That sounds like that would just drive me crazy.
all right.
If
So
you're gonna spend your whole days doing this,
when you sent me this, you said largest. Now, does that mean longest? Like it had the most pages, the most words, or is this just like a really large scale? Like now, I'm just kind of rereading it, and I'm imagining like the book is, 6 feet long, and they were, on their hands and knees writing each line.
well, it's the Bible, so you can't make it longer word wise.
Okay,
But
that's so. What is the larger part then?
it's written on A1 paper, which is basically 23 inches by 33 inches as your size.
That's probably a lot thicker than regular like text paper as well.
I
Yeah,
would think so.
yeah. That's probably that probably gets really thick. Yeah, I imagine that's what it is. Is the scale of it just on a? I mean, just think thicker paper on on any large any long book. Suddenly that gets, that turns
Yeah,
into a phone book very quickly.
another guy did this. It doesn't say for this one that is going to supposedly have the record, but one that was done before weighed 135 pounds. So probably this weighs more than 135 pounds. 135 pounds, for anyone that's just kind of trying to imagine that. If you go to the gym, 135 pounds is the bar with 245s on it.
Yeah,
And that's a book. That's heavy. That's like, I don't know if you're lifting that by yourself necessarily.
Hey, what's the dumbbell weight of like an iPad?
Uh, like
What?
the really little small like pink ones over to the side. I think that might even be too heavy.
So like 3 pounds. Got it. Cool.
Yeah, I could be off on that. I
Wait.
don't know exactly how much an iPad weighs.
Would you ever have a hard time reading something off that, or do you think something like handwritten is going to last much longer?
I don't think this is leaving the house.
I don't know. I don't know. I just think that it seems like an unnecessary thing at this point. I mean, I get having something handwritten of personal value, but I feel like to have something handwritten of personal value that you're going to use regularly, like this is going to get used, right? They say strike me as a family that's going to read or use this semi regularly.
I would hope so.
And
Get used, but can you imagine tomorrow's Thanksgiving? You go over to somebody's house, and hey Will, hey yeah good to see you. Hey, come in the garage, check out what I've been working on for 6 months. Oh yeah, yeah. What do you got? Oh, oh, the largest handwritten Bible. Was not expecting that.
Yeah, I bet you didn't know this existed.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
yeah. Was working with the kids and the wife on it. Yeah, since March. Yeah, yeah. A whole lot of time on that. That's why you haven't seen me at church.
All right. Well, I got no problem with religion or anyone who wants to endeavor on projects as long as it doesn't affect me, which it doesn't. But
Whew.
I certainly would do. I would certainly rather have something that I'm going to use regularly be in a little bit better, more reusable condition, like text of a typewriter, or I mean, I don't know, typewriting that wouldn't be any that much easier, honestly. Um, but any sort of typed form on any sort of tech would just seem significantly easier. But we all just learned something there, and we're gonna learn a little bit more. There's no real good way to transition from this into our dating words terms here. But Zachary recently came across an article. It has some interesting wording for dating, like saying you're in a relationship with somebody else. And I'm looking. I wrote all these words down, and I figure we'll let you say them out loud, and I'll try and guess what they mean, and that's how we're gonna close out the podcast here. So they're all fun, and I'm real nervous about this because I don't know whether I'm supposed to know this, or if I do know it, is that a good thing or a bad thing, or if I don't know it, again, is that a good thing or bad thing? I feel very much like I'm not the target market for this, but let's embarrass me some more. I don't think we do it enough on the show. So, what do we got for some dating terms here? What was the first one you think I may or may not know? You should actually
I also think
you
I
should say
also
whether
think that
you
we
knew
don't
it.
embarrass you enough on here.
You should say whether or
But
not you know it going in, and then you should say whether or not I should know it going in.
oh, I didn't know any of these.
Oh, okay, all
So
right.
that's what really caught my attention was the article. The headline says fleabagging, eclipsing, and glamboozled. Awful new dating trends to avoid in 2020. And normally I would not click on something like that. It's like that's clickbait. No, stay away. But it's like, this could be something fun for the pod. And then it goes a little further to say, you've heard of breadcrumbing, dog fishing, and Gatsbying. And in my head, I said, no, I haven't. So I figure, well, Will's out on the West Coast. Maybe this is a regional thing. So I figure, hey, we'll bring it up. And this does say, for 2020. So maybe this is jumping the gun a little bit, but maybe this will help us and the listeners out, and they'll be ahead. So when these words really come out in May of next year, they'll be like, oh yeah, heard that on the podcast, in November. So yeah, we'll start off with. Let me find my spot.
Do you know? So do you know
With
what these actually all
breadcrumbing.
mean?
What do you
Then
think?
do you have the explanation for them
Yes,
as well? Okay, all right. Just
yes. No, yeah, I won't be just creating these up. Yes, that would be
I would
funny.
say,
But
yeah. So
no.
we don't know if you're right or wrong, and we'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know. Yeah, what do you think breadcrumbing is?
All right, so I looked at these and tried to make some sense of all of them, and this was the only one I thought actually made the most sense. And I think this is like leading somebody on, like you're leaving a trail of breadcrumbs is the only thing I could think of because there's no reason this should involve any baking. I don't know what breadcrumbs are toppings of something. I don't. That's the only thing I thought I could make sense of that is maybe you're leading somebody on. So I thought all of these would be other terms for dating. It's terms of what you're doing in that relationship to that other person, right? For most of these, or
Yeah.
not all these.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say all of these are probably mostly negative to begin with. So I'm gonna say this is a negative. This is leading somebody on.
Pretty much. It's when you lead them on by messaging them with no intention of replying.
Wait a minute. How do people do that? How do you lead somebody on without messaging them?
That was confusing to me. I get if you like sent them one message,
And then you never say anything again.
and
What a dick.
but it was like, but the way it said was like when you lead them on by messaging them, which made it sound like maybe it was more than once, and then so that didn't make sense necessarily with the breadcrumbs. When I think of breadcrumbs, it's like you're dropping like a bunch of like things. But yeah, so that's breadcrumbing. So that, you got that one. Next one is dog fishing. This one, you might be actively doing this. I can't be sure.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if I like that. Now I don't know what I want to say it. What am I doing? It sounds like I'm doing something wrong. Dog fishing.
Ah,
Are you? Is this a is this a slump buster? Is that what dog fishing is? Are you fishing for
no,
the wrong thing?
no, it is not that. I can see where you're going with that. No, dog fishing is pretending to have a furry friend to impress potential matches. And if I'm not mistaken, I've seen a lot of social media of you with a furry friend. So
All right, I'll tell you
I don't know if you're doing it on purpose,
I am.
but
I am. I'll tell you right now. The three most watched things on social media are dogs, weddings, and babies. People tune in for those more than anything else. It's purely strategy.
hey, I'm not knocking you at all. Just know that there's a word. There's a word for it, and dog fishing. So you got that.
I'm a proud
So
dog
yeah,
fisher. Is that? Can we
you
get that on a
you
T-shirt?
can feel free to throw that into casual conversation when you're out tonight. Out and about. You could explain that. That'll just be a good one. Teach people stuff. The next one is Gatsbying, like from the Great Gatsby.
Quiet? I don't know.
What'd
I
you
don't know.
say?
I don't know whether it's quiet. I don't know. What's a Gatsby like characteristic? Is it just something over the top? Are you spoiling somebody?
Not quite. Gatsbying is when you use a date solely to post a picture to social media to make someone else jealous.
Huh. All right. I mean, I make a lot of dogs jealous, but
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
All
We should.
right. So
I'm the
that
wrong.
one's that one's
I think
yeah,
I'm the wrong target market for this. But anyways, proceed. What's the next
yeah. We
one?
got we got some more here. We'll keep going. Flea bagging.
Flea bagging. Um, I know there's the show with what's her name on Amazon is called Fleabag. I wonder if that's like a like, I'm gonna hope that this is a semi new thing and is something based on that show because I know that show's popular. I haven't seen it, so I don't really know what it means, but I'm assuming it has something to do with that, and I'm also gonna assume it is fleabagging. I don't know, doing so. It sounds bad. It sounds wrong. You shouldn't do this. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna advocate you
It's
shouldn't do it.
it's when you consistently go after people who are completely wrong for you. Which that doesn't sound necessarily like a new concept, but I've never heard it referred to as flea bagging. So this was one of the ones they said 2020. So we're jumping the gun here.
Is that what, have you seen the
So
show? Is that what the show's about? Is she just have
I've
like a horrible dating matches regularly on there? It's like a How I Met Your Mother.
I
I,
think there has to do something with a hot priest, but I have also not seen the show.
I heard it's really good. I heard it's fantastic and it's just awesome. But I haven't
All
tuned
right,
in yet. Anyways, next one.
all right. I'm gonna skip a couple here. Eclipsing.
All right, so clips. That's what it's covering up something. Something else is appearing. I don't know. I feel like you're slowly realizing that I don't know a lot about any of these. I don't remember The Great Gatsby. I don't know a whole lot about breadcrumbs. I don't really know a lot about eclipses. I feel like I'm being more embarrassed on my lack of knowledge of just standard terms rather than dating terms. But eclipsing, I almost want to say it's like hiding somebody.
Ooh, ooh. That would be even better. No, what it is it's taking up some interest in hobby, it's taking up the same interest in hobbies as the person you are dating in a bid to have more in common with them. That just seems like a nice thing to do.
I just thought that was actual just dating from day
That's
one.
what I
You're
thought
just
dating was too, but
yeah.
apparently
I
that's
just thought that's
eclipsing.
what that's not dating in general. That's not just marriage long term. You're just constantly compromising with one another.
All right, so we got two more. The second to last one, yellow carding. Sports one for you.
It sounds like it's a warning. I don't know. Maybe maybe you're on your last chance with somebody. You get one more shot. You get one more mistake, and we're done. I don't know. Is this a zero
Ooh,
tolerance
close.
relationship kind of thing?
Close. What it is calling someone out for their poor dating etiquette and telling them you're not happy with what they've done.
All right, so it's a
And this one
warning.
specifically has a comment that says, This is becoming more common, and according to the experts, is going to be a big thing in 2020. So look out, world.
I can't wait to get back into the dating pool. This now that I have all this knowledge,
Yeah.
I'm certainly going to impress a
Think
lot of
how
people.
now you'll be able to, comment on what happened and know what people are saying about you. They're going to think, he doesn't know what he's talking about. No, you're going to know. All right. And now the last one, glamboozle. That's the
Glamboozle?
most fun one to say. Glamboozled. So it's like glamorous and bamboozled mushed together.
I'm imagining you're buying your significant other some knockoff jewelry or something, or maybe not jewelry, or any sort of knockoff gift. Like I'm imagining like you got a Rolex with an L missing in the title, like it's a knockoff Rolex.
Not right on that one, but on the ones, few that you've guessed, I've liked your response better than what the actual one is, and this is one of those. Glamboozled is when you get all ready for the night, get your hair, your makeup, perfectly picked outfit, only for plans to fall through at the last minute.
Oh, that's a bummer. God. I don't really get all glammed up pretty regularly, even for a date. If you don't like me as me, well, where do you think this is gonna go? Anyways, I think that went a lot
good
better.
Way of looking at it.
I think I'm the wrong target market for all of this. I don't think I'm going on enough dates regularly, and say that as a pro or con as you will. It doesn't really matter to me. But I would be much more curious to see if other people in other situations are as familiar with everything. Or I mean, I've never heard anyone say any of these in conversation. Have you?
No, that's why I wanted to bring it up to you to see, is this a regional thing at all? Is, you're living in more of a city. I think that you would overhear stuff before I would, or just if any of the listeners have come across this, but especially that first line that was like, well, you've heard of these terms, of course. And wait, no, I haven't.
No.
I'm way behind.
No, even if I did,
So.
even if I had heard someone say these terms, I wouldn't have the balls to ask them. I would just assume everything I just said right now is all I just thought of off the top of my head. So I would be
like,
I'd be so far removed from the conversation already that I don't know what anyone's talking about.
You're eavesdropping at somebody at the bar, so you're not going to ask them anyway.
Anyways, that was a fun little bit. You know what I need? I need help with emojis. Am I the only one struggling with this? Maybe next week we should do an emoji explanation, and you should do some research for that.
Okay, I can do that.
I think it's gonna be a little bit harder to describe. I don't know. Maybe that'll just have to be an own one-off thing. Anyways, I'm gonna start the outro here. Remind everybody one more time to go check out the website, lcalcb.com. Lots of good stuff on there. See all the old podcasts as well as learn a little bit about Zach and I. Make sure you follow Zach on his Twitter, which is
WickedZman24.
And lots of good stuff going on over there. Want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and as always, for listening and following and subscribing and tuning in, and all of your emails about all the stuff I get incorrect. Very, very helpful. We would not be the same podcast without being held to that standard. Hopefully we'll have some sort of merch coming out this weekend. The sweatshirts are gone, but I think we'll have something back by Black Friday, so keep an eye out for that. Anything else you want to add for the people out there?
Just a quick thing. Only got 1 month left in 2019. Rather than wait until 2020 to get those New Year's resolutions in, start a month early. Just jump into that. Get to the gym. Gym's empty right now. No one's going to the gym. By January 1st, you'll be a month ahead of where you would have been. So jump on all those plans a month early and get a jump start on everybody else.
And for everyone else, I mean, you're gonna be wearing a jacket for the next 3 months, so enjoy yourself. Was that wrong advice, or is that a little too much column A, a little too column B?
There it is, folks.
All right, we'll be back next Wednesday at 3. I think we'll be a little bit more on schedule, but stay tuned.